And okay, I agree to that. Uh, we had Jennifer Mora and also Summerlands, and they were able to get $750 each for one meeting a month, sharing their experiences and information about the school with the community. At the same time, they were exposed to how processes and policy is established in the city. They were able to meet with all of us in council, and at the same time, they were participants in many of the decisions. They were able to share their opinions and their stand. So, and I look forward to the center having um, some sort of collaborative hours for community hours for youth in working with the center. What have you had in the past, Melanie? It's all about information for our community.
What have we had in the past? You mean on Coffee with the Mayor? Are you talking
No, no,
about?
no. I mean, in terms of opportunities for youth at the senior center.
Oh,
Hours of service for youth at the senior center.
yeah,
Yes.
we've had all kinds of different things. They've helped me with projects. They've helped me with some organization. I've had some help with food distributions. Um, there's a lot of different things, and sometimes they just shadow. Sometimes they shadow, but
Yeah,
sometimes out in the yard if that's something they're interested in.
yes, I was thinking they could be helpers to birds in the yard with gardening, and also they could probably lead some games or
Yeah.
even knitting and other crafts at the center, and even discussing music or movies.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that would be an interesting thing for youth to do. So perhaps we need to make a visit to the high school once they open at the beginning of the year, and invite the youth to come to the center, because it's very, I don't know, I think it's very encouraging and very stimulating to have the youth and the experience. I don't want to call the experienced members of our community.
well, we had the 4 years of Spanish classes come, and every winter holiday come and sing music to our membership in their Spanish songs and do that kind of presentation. And I have gone to the high school on several occasions. We've tried to meet.
We have had the community unity kids
Yeah.
for helping with weeding and cleaning up around there.
I will tell you honestly that there have been a lot of attempts to have more intergenerational activities here, and that sometimes the schools are very, very busy with their own things, and then we get busy, and it's sometimes difficult to get the two to figure out a time that's going to work. So that's why even just having them come and sing at the holidays is nice. But yeah, they could help. We Shirley wanted to see if they could help our AmeriCorps volunteer when we had her. She was working very hard with the high school kids in the drama, trying to have them do a skit for our holiday tea, and that ended up not happening. And so instead, she got senior volunteers to do the skit, which Al was kind of the star of the skit as Goldilocks.
Okay, I hear that you are quite a singer, Al.
Oh, I do my best. Yeah, I've been working on that for, I don't know, since I was 4 years old. But, it's all
Ooh.
fun. I want to revisit the kids running meetings. I've got several meetings. Oh, were you joking? Because they could run mine.
No,
Probably do a better job.
no, I think
No,
it's
I think it's
so good.
important to note that we have had that on our slate. And I think that if we had something, even something simple as for volunteer hours, or, for kids that are looking to, do some community volunteering or what have you, if we had a sign up sheet just at the center that had, miscellaneous stuff on it, and just something that they could go and look at and they could sign up for on a regular basis, even something as simple as that would be a start in in getting the involvement that we would need from the school.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea, Al, because if we provide information of what's available, they just don't think that it's just working with old people, you know?
Right, and they also, I know that because my kids always focused on, well, you know, they were trying to get the best GPAs and they're trying to get scholarships and they want to have community service, and you know, so I had a son who spent a lot of time on the Rotary as a student on the Rotary, which was good because that was interesting. I will tell you a short little funny that when they did do a function at the Rotary, and he was supposed to bring his parents with him, he took his mom, and he was introduced as my son and his girlfriend. So he was really embarrassed because his mom looked so young that they thought he brought a date to the function instead of his mother.
Oh, that's really encouraging.
It was pretty funny. But yeah, kids like to get involved, but you know, we don't need to name it, you know, working with seniors. Just give them some
Exactly.
opportunities for community service.
Yes,
Well,
definitely.
I think that we should go ahead and get started. This might be who is here for coffee with the mayor, but we are very happy to welcome Mayor Cruz and David Kelly and Kevin Thompson, city employees. And I know I was able to attend at least part of the city council meeting last night, and I'm excited for you to tell more. I hear it was around 6 hours, so I'm sure everybody got a good night's sleep here, huh?
Well, David likes to talk a lot. Is that so, David? Yes, it was a long meeting because we had to discuss the budget. And the budget is very detailed, and it was not as detailed as we would have liked. But it's necessary that we have transparency and that people understand where the money goes and how much money we do not have. So the one thing that I would say that impacts the center is that the proposal was not recommended in its full amount, but that we did pencil some money for you. And we are thinking about coming forth with some more guidelines for when nonprofits apply for funds from the city. I think that will be most helpful to all organizations. In that way, people understand what we fund and what we don't advise to fund. Because remember, this is services for all organizations. So would you like to go ahead and talk a little bit more about that, David?
Sure, Mayor. You know, following on your point, I think council's perspective was in, you know, this is in regards to providing funding assistance to Cloverdale nonprofit organizations and other nonprofit organizations that provide services within the city. I think the concern that Mayor Cruz is sharing is that in regards to funding staffing, and because it involves kind of starts to involve kind of labor and, you know, legal labor issues, and you know, I think the real preference is to focus on funding programs, projects, and activities that are carried out by the organization versus necessarily carrying out staff, you know, funding staffing. I think that was the general perspective, and so, you know, in terms specifically in terms of the funding request by the senior center, you know, there was kind of three funding requests, or the three kind of categories of funding. The area where there was, I think, a request for about $15,000 in funding staffing, that'd be something that we want to work with both you, Al, and Melanie on, you know, really maybe tailoring the requests to providing specific services to the community, and bringing that back to council at their next meeting on June 9th, or potentially in no later than June 23rd, for ultimately adoption as part of the budget. There was support for the other request for the two categories for funding assistance in the amount of $5,000, so total 10,000. And I think council would support additional funding, just not targeting providing staffing.
Yeah,
So,
I think we did pencil $15,000 for the senior center, correct?
and well, I think it ended up right in the budget. The budget
Yeah.
includes 15,000. So but we want to kind of look at the scope and
Yes.
reflect that it's funding, more, again, targeting programs and projects that are being carried out versus specifically funding a staff member.
So I think that that's good, and I like the mayor's idea on clarifying, the types of funding that that the city can do moving forward, because verbiage is important, and not
Yes.
knowing what verbiage to use is clearly going to be a stopgap for us, something to learn. Our main focus is obviously the sustainability of the center, ongoing, and looking at ways to sustain the center so that it can continue on way past everybody on this meeting,
Yes.
and be self-sustaining. So that's our main focus, and I agree. We would be open to learning whatever verbiage we would need to use to gain support from our city. There are so many senior centers out there that are supported fully by their city. We know our city can't do that. We certainly don't expect them to do that. We do hope that someday, eventually down the road, we can be sustained somehow, permanently. But again, I think that's a very good point, and I appreciate the mayor bringing that up and letting us know that verbiage is important, and we're willing to learn.
Oh, no. Yeah. And I think, the clearer we have the guidelines, the better it would be for all nonprofits in town, so that everybody can apply and present a competitive proposal that will benefit the community at large.
Certainly.
And as everybody knows, I did highlight the importance and the grateful feel that we all have for the center for stepping up during the times of COVID and being a beacon for food security and support to all members of the community. And as I clarified to some members of the community, it is a senior center, but it's a multi-service center. So it covers beyond our aging population. So, I mean, this is something that we have to continue to enhance and provide opportunities for the center to grow. And I'm more than proud for all of you and your commitment, especially, the programs and the set of volunteers, which I also highlighted. And I said, if it weren't for the volunteers that we have, we couldn't have the Monday distribution. We couldn't have the food distribution for the elderly and the homeless in Cloverdale. So once again, our deep appreciation. And with that, I would like Melanie to share the proclamation that you received last night.
Oh, I don't have it in front of me, but I want to just state again, like I did last night, how excited and thankful we are that the City Council did declare May 2021 Older Americans a proclamation in regards to that. And I know David Kelly helped to facilitate that taking place as well. And, the team that works here at the Senior Center, yes, we do serve, many, many seniors, and we do interact with them, and we do get to have them volunteer and share their expertise and their abilities and their talents and their time and their passion. And by doing that, they are enriching our community in such a way that everybody benefits from that. So yeah, we are very, very excited that the proclamation was read at the council meeting last night in honor of our older Americans. And we are going to be putting that out in public places, on social media, in our newsletter, that this has been done and how important it is to recognize our seniors. And thank you so much. Heartfelt. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Um, I was just meeting with David and Irene yesterday, and it is incredible when you go behind the scenes to know how much work our staff puts to make sure that our community is informed and that there's thorough follow-up to all the issues that come about. We have a meeting coming up on Tuesday just to plan the following Wednesday meeting. And it's like nonstop. And that's the aspect that sometimes doesn't, the story that doesn't get told. And we really have to appreciate the effort and also your availability to share with us the concerns and the pluses of the center. So, and as I was mentioning to David yesterday, I would like for Coffee with the Mayor to be really informal, informative, but friendly, where we can all, make suggestions on how to communicate better, how to do the outreach to the community beyond social media and emails, how to engage in activities that will make people feel invited and be part of the community. So it's not going to be, top down type of event. It's going to be an integration of all. And I did get a question this morning about the situation with fires in the city. And I was hoping for Vice Mayor Lance to be here, but he had some commitments. But Vice Mayor Lance and I are in the, well, I have been the representative for the county homelessness planning ad hoc. And he just joined us this week on that, since he's directing the homeless initiative here in town. And I am his co-chair on that. Some of the fires that we've had at the at the river have been contained promptly, but it doesn't stop from being a problem. We have had a coalition and collaboration with the Sheriff's Department, Wildlife, Fish and Wildlife, Supervisor Gold's office, and the State Water Board to make sure that vegetation control takes place. And yesterday we were walking on rocks, sand, and under very hot sun for about an hour and a half or longer with these individuals, showing the areas that have been at risk and the places where we've had fires. The people who have been residing at the river have been moved, and they have voluntarily packed and gone elsewhere. We continue to monitor the people who are there to make sure that there's no threat in terms of safety and fire in the area. And by working on this collaboration, there's going to be a lot of brush and dry grasses removal in compliance with protection of the watershed and in protection of the animals and the wildlife that is in that area. But by clearing a lot of this will will diminish the possibility of fires. So we are very aware of that. And the city also is working with vegetation control, not only by the river, but also on the west side. And David was very prompt and thorough in writing a proposal, a grant proposal to the state for vegetation control in the west side of town. Now, there's going to be more money coming to Cloverdale and the region for vegetation control from the state and federal government. And as you very well know, the river area is very complex because some of it is county and some of it is city.
Mhm.
Some of the funding we cannot apply for. We can only advocate for funding to be allocated to the city by the county and consequently by the state. So it's being managed. We're very aware of it. We're very concerned. We want to make sure that Cloverdale continues to be a safe place where we can go to bed and not have to wake up to a burnt house. But then again, you very well know how ashes fly, and look what happened in Coffee Park. So we need to be alert, and we also need to inform the fire department if there is any any indication of any danger in our community. David, would you like to add something more to that?
Mayor, I think you pretty comprehensively covered it. You know, I think the other thing to add, because there are concerns about the treatment of the homeless population that is at the river. The county did have outreach teams. They have what's referred to as HEART that were out. It came out while we were out doing our site visit with the regulatory agencies to assist them. Ultimately, they do offer the unsheltered population, opportunities for shelter. We don't have a shelter in northern Sonoma County, so it does require them, if they opt in for those shelter services, to go down to the Santa Rosa area. And I think that one of the prevailing perspectives regarding our unsheltered population is that a lot of them like to stay kind of where in our area, and they have roots here, or this is the area that they maybe have their PO box, and so often we find that they don't want to take advantage of those opportunities to get shelter outside the community. But it just shows that there are resources trying to address the needs of the homeless population, and obviously we're out there trying to address the health and safety of our community. We did see a couple of spots where there were pretty significant fire activity, and luckily it was we're still earlier in the year, and things maybe aren't as dry as they're going to be, and we haven't really experienced the critical offshore winds where if one of those fires got started out there could be a very significant impact to our community. So as the mayor indicated, that it's a real concern to have that fire activity on the river. So we want to try to mitigate that through what's called they call the SAC crews, or supervised adult crews, that Supervisor Gore through the county will provide and support to help address some of the overgrown vegetation, make it kind of limb up and reduce some of the fire hazards there along the river in the riparian area. So that should help address some of the fire concerns, and then obviously relocating the unsheltered population hopefully will alleviate them starting fires in that area, which is of a concern to the community.
Yeah, there are several organizations in the county that are reaching out to all the members of this community to provide services, mental health, regular health checks, and opportunities for shelter. Then again, it's a very hard call because not everybody is willing to go ahead and transition from homelessness to a place where there's discipline and to go back to four wall. And regarding the question about the funding, we have been very lucky And even though we have supported our neighbors in times of fire, in times of flood, we don't qualify for the big amount of money. The amount of money that was allocated to Cloverdale before fees was about $70,000. So all that money is going to the areas that were burned, the areas that suffered the physical damage. So we have PSPS, we had no gas, etc. But all that we can get at the end, after all fees are deducted, is probably going to be, anywhere between $35,000 to $45,000, and that would go to the general fund. David,
That,
once
that,
the money,
that is correct, Mayor. The settlement proceeds would go to our general fund. Well, there may be some reimbursement to our enterprise funds that had expenses related to the emergency response, but I think the majority will go back to our general fund.
yes, and so it's a little bit of cushion, not too much, but every cent helps so that we can continue to function as a city and meet the needs of the population. Now, a very pressing, are there any questions, or is there anybody in the public that would like to ask any questions? Yes, Melanie.
I was just going to mention, along with the fire danger, I live in Palomino, which is on the other side, and obviously the summer bridge is a big deal to us because otherwise we only have one way out, and there's quite a few of us that live on that side of the river. And originally the time frame was that they were going to begin to put the summer bridge in on June 15th, when
Right.
we already had a fire down at the bottom of Palomino Lakes over near the river on the 14th of May. So I, of course, have a personal interest in having that summer bridge open sooner rather than later. And I know a lot of times Fish and Game plays a major part in the decision making on how soon it can go in. And, I just have to really say to you as council members that I just think that it has to be, and I know we're county, we're not in the city, but I think possible loss of life is more important than the habitat in the river if it's going to come down to that. So
Yes,
we have even getting a permanent bridge is going to take at least 2 years to build.
right.
And I know that we will have a parcel tax put on us to help pay for that because we are the ones benefiting of more of the use. But in terms of getting the summer bridge in sooner when we have such a drought and dry conditions, I don't know if it's the county we have to really advocate for that, or I know Supervisor Gore is very active in trying to make that happen sooner rather than later, but do either any of you have an update on that?
We don't have an update on that per se, because it is, as you mentioned, a county situation. And all we can do is advocate and speak on behalf of the sphere of influence, which is Palomino Lakes and so on. And one of the things that I could also do is perhaps invite the Director of Public Works for the county to talk to our community about First Street Bridge and also about the bridge on that side,
Summer Bridge.
at the summer bridge. The First Street Bridge that is going to have pedestrian access, and also the summer bridge. But it's not something that we have any power over, and the county is also limited on what they can do. But I'm a voice for all of you. And when I meet with the supervisor this Friday, tomorrow, I'll make sure that I mention this. And if you would welcome, it would be nice to have the county director talk to us. And even if it's just for 10-15 minutes. And I think that will give us a little bit better understanding of what the situations are, because it's not only the fish, but also the whole infrastructure. But yeah, we continue to advocate because it's it's definitely a need in our community. And we also have farmers in that area that need transport to transport their goods and so on. And it definitely gets challenging at times. So we'll just keep up with CERT and so on. And that brings me to the next item, which is that we're not going to have Resilient Cloverdale tomorrow, but we're going to have the Tuesday meeting to discuss all these issues. So David, could you follow up on that one?
Absolutely, Mayor. So I think partly because of the holiday weekend, and folks are a lot of folks are have plans for this Friday, or starting this Friday. Our team, Rebecca Enos and Daniel Holmesy, along with our police chief, decided to kind of take up the strategic plan discussion at the every other Tuesday Resilient Cloverdale meeting at noon. The real goal is to implement the strategic plan focused on a public outreach campaign around our evacuation planning effort, and to support as much public information as possible to ensure the community is thoroughly informed about the evacuation planning efforts, the evacuation routes, the evacuation map, and want to ensure that no matter where you are in the city, that you understand or have a good understanding of how you may need to evacuate under very quick emergency conditions. As we learned over the last few years, especially these wildfire events move very quickly and necessitate, in some cases, that we evacuate very promptly. And we want to make sure that we've got all the tools in place and our community is really ready. The moniker that has been developed is Clover Ready, and I think it's pretty clever. Again, it's intended to ensure that all members of our community, all segments of our demographic groups, from young to old, from English to Spanish speaking residents, are fully aware of the evacuation plan. And so that was something we talked about last night, was funding for that program, and we want to again do additional planning work, and that's part of the discussion on Tuesday, planned on Tuesday.
Thank you. So I hope that those watching and participants attend the meeting. It's the usual link, but if you could put it on the chat for our members today. Yes, Alvin.
So I just had just a quick question, because it popped into my head. I was just wrapping my head around and wrapping my schedule around the Friday meeting, because it's important to get that on there, on a regular basis, and trying to get my schedule clear for that. But now we're moving this, when this meeting is going to Tuesday, it brings up the question for me that does it have to be a noon meeting? I mean, I don't know why we're doing it at noon, but I have a couple of reasons for that. First of all, I do a lot of business where it's pretty client driven, and people work from 8 to 5 every day, and meeting them at lunchtime is a really big deal for me. Sometimes it's very helpful for my business. But not only that, Rotary members are huge in our community, and they always do lunch at noon. And they do that every week, once a week, every week, which is going to, probably eliminate some of them coming to a Tuesday meeting at noon, or any, I don't know when they have their.
Theirs are on Thursday.
Theirs on Thursday. Okay. So again, well, then that works. That's fine. But I thought it was on Tuesday. But anyway, I just wondered why we're doing it at noon. It seems to me that if we had a morning meeting or later in the afternoon, I don't know if we'd get more attendance or not. I mean,
David, please
just
address
curious.
that. Yeah, David and Daniel are the ones that established the meetings, and it's been going on for a while. So go ahead,
Right.
David, please.
I know it has, and like I said, it just popped into my head, and I'm just kind of
Yeah,
curious. as to-
and you're right, and we might even get more participation if it's later. It's just that, you know, it's availability of our staff too.
Gotcha.
So
I understand. I'm just trying
yeah,
to find it, figure it out.
yeah, go ahead, David, please.
Yeah, I mean, Al, I mean, you raise a good point. You know, it's always a challenge to find a time that works for everybody's calendar and schedule. You know, we certainly could look at, you know, moving it. We have established that everyone's kind of, you know, got into a rhythm and routine of Tuesdays. Partly, you know, it's during the day, because sometimes, you know, waiting till afternoon may not be advisable, given, you know, need to take steps to address the, you know, whatever you know is coming before us in terms of emergencies. So, you know, I guess it's just really looking at, you know, what's the best time that works for everybody. You know, and I don't, if you're thinking, I guess question would be, you know, we thinking evening time, you know, like 8 p.m. or, I mean, what's it, what
No, my personal thought, if I was to say personally, Tuesdays work really well for me. Just noon around the lunch hour doesn't work very well for me. That's just me. But I was thinking, I mean, this 10:30 coffee with the mayor works really well. Tuesday mornings are not really busy for me, but I don't know how they are for other people. You know, I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out there and see if maybe we got more participation by changing the time a little bit. Because I know the meetings, I know the meeting attendance has dropped quite a bit. So
We could probably do an alternate schedule. We could look into that. Perhaps ask the main participants, you know, if they would be willing to do like a noon one week and the following week in the evening, so that it could still work for the majority and still open up for the public in general. But that would be something that Irene will have to help us with. Maybe send a calendar to
well,
see a survey to see, you know, who
Yeah.
would be available when.
Oh,
And
I've been to a couple of meetings recently where people don't even, I mean, they ask questions, they don't even know that Resilient Cloverdale is still going on. I had one guy, the president of organization, literally say that Resilient Cloverdale started a long time ago and then died and never came back. Well, clearly he just is kind of misinformed. And then I know our attendance has dropped, and I think it's important that we at least are reaching as many people as we can and getting them involved as much as we can. I mean, obviously I make the effort, you know, and unless I have a, you know, an actual client appointment, I'm going to be there, but just something to think about.
yeah, I think that with this new initiative by Clover Ready, we'll have to address this, and we'll talk to the chief about it too. So so it's good to hear these concerns and these suggestions, so that we could plan appropriately in the future. So thank you all for that. Any other questions? I see that Gus is on the call. Would you like to add something else?
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, the only thing I was thinking, I apologize for being late, but I had a 9 o'clock appointment. You know, I'm just curious how we can get the attendance of Coffee with the Mayor up a little bit. We just can't seem to go over that 10, 12 mark. And I think in the beginning, we were kind of hoping that we'd have a bigger turnout. So, you know, maybe we should discuss that a little bit. I mean, do we change the time? Do we change the day? You know, why don't we have more people here?
well, Gus, you missed the last one because you were you had such a late night. But Susie, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought we had 17 people attend.
Oh,
So it just fluctuates like anything else. And I have to say that sometimes it's better when it's an established time and people are just aware that that's the established time. It's like, I'm gonna differ from Al in my opinion as far as Resilient Cloverdale, because I do attend that on a regular basis, and it does work for me to attend it at noon. And it is established and has been established for over a year. You know, I also was invited to sit on the Homeless Advisory Committee, and that went from being Tuesdays at 1:30 to 3:30 to then the public asked, could they have that like later in the in after work hours. So now it's been changed to 5 to 6:30, which then eats into my family time, and I'm not as inclined to want to participate at that time. So there are pluses and minuses, I think, to, you know, having an established time, having that work for most people, maybe not all people. And then there's in my view, there's minuses to switching the time around to where pretty soon people are just going, when is the time? You know, well, it used to be this, now it's this, I think. And I think once you're in a groove of it, yeah, we're going to have like coffee with the mayor, we're going to have it fluctuate. And we can continue to do more, you know, publicizing that this is happening. And also that, you know, we've tried to make it known that this is much more interactive than a city council meeting is. And it's much more personable. I feel like we get to ask questions and get answers immediately. We don't have to follow a protocol when public, 3 minutes of public speaking can take place. So those are just my 2 cents and my personal opinion on this, and food for thought, hopefully.
Well,
Thanks,
thank you,
Melanie.
Melanie.
And Gus, my thought on that is, yeah, it's difficult to get the word out. I mean, we have certain avenues that the word gets out, but my thought just recently was that if we get Coffee with the Mayor posted on Facebook, I mean, if you get it in your Facebook or somebody gets it in their Facebook, then we should be sharing it. And we should make sure that we share that, repost that, so that our friends and our neighbors and our connections are seeing that that's happening. I haven't gotten any shares from anybody, but I have started sharing what I get. So.
Yeah, and you know, it's going to be an issue for a while, but I think we're improving. And Susie, didn't we say we had a total of 70 or 17?
17.
17.
17
Okay, so
on the meeting in person at the live, and then around 70 people saw the video afterwards.
that's a good outreach, Gus, I would say, if people
Yeah,
look at the
yeah.
video afterwards.
I
So
keep forgetting about YouTube. So
yeah. So that's a good sign. And you know, I would like to hear from you. Who would you like to have as a 15-minute guest in Hour with the Mayor? And I already promised that I'm going to try to get the Director of Public Works to come and talk to you about some of the issues that deal with the county, since we are in such boundaries, you know, county, city, and so on. So I'll try to get Johannes Hoverts to come and chat with us. He's a very personable and very funny guy. I think you will enjoy him. I also want to tell you that for Resilient Cloverdale, that I had a meeting with Linda Hopkins, and I emphasized the need for internal transportation during times of crisis within the jurisdictions. And she was like really open to that idea and to talk to the supervisors about that. Because remember, in several of the meetings, I kept saying, well, how are we going to get the people from, you know, from the nursing home to the citrus fair? How are we going to get the children or the elderly? Well, you know, there is a way that we can do that. And they're going to be exploring that in their conversation. So I'm very excited, because that's one of the things that is going to make our plan much more solid and much more effective for all the community. And also, as member of the status of women in the county, I also would like to bring some of our colleagues to talk about issues that we're facing in the county and initiatives. and many other friends. So it's like Coffee with the Mayor and friends, and definitely going to bring some friends. And I encourage you to tell me about what friends you have that you would like to bring to this conversation also. So it's not going to be, as I said, a rehash of the board of the council meeting. It's not going to be strictly on the water conservation, which we're all very engaged and being very successful so far. I was in the meeting for the Russian River Watershed Association earlier today, and I had to skip out because I needed to come with you. But one of the activities that they're having is that of picking up a bucket with drought, what would I say, utensils, guidelines, and so on. So we're hoping that we could get our distribution here too, because, and that's the importance of being present. I saw the distribution list, all the towns were there, and Cloverdale wasn't there. I immediately interrupted. I said, I'm sorry, I need to have Cloverdale on the distribution list. So please let me know when we're having the distribution of the drought bucket in Cloverdale. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and I'll send an email right now. So that will be coming up hopefully for Tuesday. We'll talk about that because that's part of being resilient, making sure that we keep up with our drought and we don't feel bad about it, but that we feel good, enthused about it. And that where everybody's, watchdog is like, hey, you have the water off. David, you like to turn on the water, turn it off. and so on, and doing dishes and all that. I mean, we have to go back to the times when our grandmothers would put a little bucket to wash dishes and a little bucket for this, that, and the other. So we definitely need to get enthused about that. And especially with kids, once we get our kids enthused about this, we are going to get our parents to be more compliant. And I know that we have some education programs that we pay for with the with Russian River Water Association and the Sonoma Marine Venture. So I'm definitely going to seek those classes and promote those and let you know about it so that our kids are looking forward to it and so are the parents. Okay, so let's hope that we can get Johannes here in a couple of weeks. And yes, Melanie.
Well, since you asked for suggestions,
Yes.
I was on a Rotary meeting where Supervisor James Gore was the guest speaker, and that was for the Cloverdale Rotary Club. So I think that would be nice to ask him to come join us. I have invited Senator Mike McGuire to come join us with Coffee with the Mayor, but you might have more pull than I do. And I was thinking too, with the upcoming fire danger, Chief Jenkins would be good to be here as one of our friends. Chief Ferguson has been here many times as one of our friends, and his role will be even more important with Nixle alerts and signing up for that. That just came up earlier in the week today that I have some questions I need to ask Chief Ferguson. So had he been here, I would have probably asked them of him. And if you can think of, anybody, think of other people that you think would be great guests. Those are just some ideas I have.
Oh, definitely. It's all an issue of getting into somebody's schedule. So the very, very demanding requests at all times, but we'll work on that, definitely. And I'm very excited for when we can actually have Coffee with the Mayor outside of the senior center in the garden, and I'll bring some of the Puerto Rican coffee in case that anybody dares. And then we'll also have the watered down version for those that cannot deal with the caffeine.
At least but don't use too much water.
Exactly. So we have to drink every drop. That's the other thing. All right. So Susie, you haven't said anything. Come on, you're key to this effort.
You guys have done all the good talking. I think that you've covered everything that we needed to hear about. And I love the refreshing of pulling in more friends to join us and scheduling that and sharing when people are going to be joining us. So yes, please keep me in the loop so that I can get that out to our different avenues of sharing that and let people know, hey, if you've got a question for this friend, they're going to be joining us on this day. So I look forward to that.
You know,
Okay.
Marta, also another person who came to my mind is, and Gus is familiar with her, the new ED for Reach for Home,
Oh,
Margaret.
yes, yes, Margaret.
Yes, I think that she would be a wonderful friend to have on Coffee with the Mayor because there's a lot of things that she's doing and accomplishing and working on to help, all with
Yes.
the shelterless population.
Yes,
You know,
definitely. They definitely have very good initiatives. They have a great staff. And I think it's essential that people understand that the programs are here to help the community, not to hurt the community. And
mhm.
that we all need to keep that humanity within us to be able to put forth our vision and collaboration among all members of our town. So I hope that the vice mayor can join me next time. He's been incredible in terms of supporting our initiatives with the shelterless and also with just being there and listening and learning. It's different being on the school board and being on the city council. It seems like a little bit more strict, but that's why Coffee with the Mayor is good because we're more loose and we could be more interactive and we don't necessarily have to stick to the 3 minutes. Of
You
course,
mean
you
we
want
can
to
be
take,
friends?
yeah, we can be
I mean, we can
friends.
be friends, yeah. Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Let's put it out there. Are you friends with the mayor? If you're not,
exactly.
then jump on Coffee with the Mayor.
Exactly. Let's establish a relationship, you know? There's always room for improvement and there's always room for one more heart to be welcome.
And I
So,
like that. I like that we can all talk openly and not worry about what we're saying. We all have opinions and thoughts, and we get to share them. Simple.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much. And, it would be important for people to understand what is the role of the planning commission in the town. And I think we'll talk about that as the time comes. And also, um, how responsive people have been to complying with helping with the drought. And, I live in a complex that I'm very upset because we have such a green lawn. And I already talked to the president of the HOA. I said, we need to come up with an alternative. Actually, History Center volunteers and Mark and I are going to go to this town of Sonoma to look at a beautiful, natural, appropriate garden for our weather and our soil. They have a beautiful garden where they're like a butterfly, um, flowers, inviting flowers, and their succulents and their benches. And that's the kind of garden that we need to continue to have so that we don't use so much water. The History Center has a beautiful garden, but right now some of it is threatened because of lack of irrigation. So we're going to go and visit. And if you have any ideas of gardens that you would like to share or pictures you want to take and promote what people are doing to help with the drought, I welcome those pictures for us to see. So let's go ahead and get creative here. Okay.
And that
So
might be something Bert might be interested in joining in on too, since Bert
oh
does
yes,
99% of the gardening here at in our yard.
Well,
yes.
I'd just like to say to that I reprogrammed the irrigation here. So I'm on skip 2 days without water.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that was a significant cutback that we did here.
Well, thank you. And I definitely would like to invite you to come along when we go and visit the gardens in Sonoma. I mean, it's just really beautiful garden. All right. Well, thank you very much. And I look forward to your ideas for the next meeting. And you can email me anytime. All right.
Well, thanks,
you.
Marta. And so the next coffee with the mayor should be on the 10th of June,
That is correct.
10 a.m. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate this.
All right. Have
Have
a great day.
day.
Good to
Bye-bye.
see you all.
Same here.